The Tea Party movement and some mainstream Republicans have said the federal government is too involved in the daily lives of average Americans. From laws about cutting out trans fats to Washington intervention on Wall Street, some conservatives want to bring back the less is more motto to the White House and beyond. Critics continue to argue the federal government has gone so far that people can barely recognize the Constitution anymore. Joining us tonight is Paul Antinori, constitutional expert and author of A Modest Proposal to Amend the U.S. Constitution. Paul, has government really gotten out of hand, or is that just a popular theme we hear these days?
It's been a long time coming, actually, incrementally over the past 75 years. You're quite right. Government has grown now to the size where it's unwieldy. We have top-heavy government, the whole doctrine of federalism, the healthy balance between the state sovereign governments and the federal government has become a matter of dysfunction, and we need to get things back on track, bring back a healthy balance between the federal and the state governments.
And you're not kidding about this. You want a constitutional convention, don't you?
Yes, I am. That's what I'm advocating. It's a call to action. We haven't had one in 224 years since Philadelphia in 1787, and that's exactly what I'm calling for. I think it's the best way to amend the U.S. Constitution in such a manner as to reduce the size of the federal government.
What would you do, and how would you get everybody on the same page? It's all we could do to get people to show up at, for meetings, for town hall meetings, to even vote, let alone a constitutional convention. Where do you start, and what would you do?
Right. Well, an action this monumental, it's going to require information and education. It's like you have to awaken that sleeping giant, in a manner of speaking, and that sort of initiative comes from programs like yours right now, just advising people out there that we can cure the dysfunction in government by a constitutional convention to amend certain discrete clauses, Morris, certain discrete clauses in the Constitution.
Give me some.
The Commerce Clause, first and foremost, okay? That's the clause by which Congress is able to regulate the entire economy from top to bottom. The second clause, the Spending Clause. It's not called that in the Constitution. It's called the General Welfare Clause, but it's the Spending Clause. And that's how Congress, for example, can loan $500 million to the Solyndra Solar Panel Corporation. That's where Congress goes for your stimulus money, for your TARP bailout monies, and it goes on and on and on, all your pork barrel earmark spending. The General Welfare Clause. That needs to be amended.
Why haven't states stuck up for themselves?
Because of, I think personally, complacency. I think it's been a habit, an addictive habit of dependency. Mm-hmm. First it started out with funded mandates. Now the mandates become unfunded. There's no more money. And the states have become habituated to depending on Washington for just about everything. Medicaid, everything, student loans, you name it.
What is your background? Because you're not just you're not a politician. You've got a background in law. Tell me about it.
Yeah, well, I've been a trial lawyer for 50 years. I graduated right here at Georgetown Law School, and then I went back to my hometown, Tampa, Florida, worked for the big law firm, did a lot of defense insurance work for insurance companies. Then I ran for state attorney. I was the district attorney, the prosecuting attorney in Tampa for 4 years, and prosecuted all, capital crime, murder cases, you name it, and decided I was going to run for U.S. Congress against a fellow named Sam Gibbons, who was the chairman of the House Ways and Means Committee. Right. And one of LBJ's favorites at the time.
Yes.
I ran against him. He beat me handily, and I never got back into politics and just became a trial lawyer for the last 50 years.
If anything comes out of this conversation we're having tonight that you want the public to know, and members of Congress who are watching this program, what would it be then?
It would be that we need to curb the regulatory excesses of the federal government. It would be that we need to curb the spending excesses of the federal government that violate the U.S. Constitution.
Paul Antinori, our guest on Capital Insider. Thanks for your views tonight. Much appreciated. We're going to take a quick break right now, but check us out on Twitter. We tweet out the top headlines for your day, plus the show's interviews, including this one. Just follow us at Capital Insider. And keep it here on News Channel 8. We're back in 2 minutes.